going on is for some reason KT has a 1 next to name. Don't understand that. But we'll just continue on with the pick and ban for Game 1 here, guys. Match 3, Game 1 of the season. And will be your first ban on the blue side. Will be a flex pick. So, of course, if you haven't been following the rune changes, the solo queue trends, we'll try to update you on what's good. Hyper carries and tank supports are the bot lane story, but Shen still is powerful in the top lane as well. No Aftershock nerf just yet. So we'll see Shen as the first ban, and Kalista, one of those very strong laners, very popular in the current meta. Saw her permabanned at Worlds. Going to see plenty of bans towards her here as well in LCK Spring 2018.
Yep, so still going to be maintaining that 100% ban rate coming through. Sejuani on the other side as well, going to be taken away by Afreeca, so really targeting out some of those more tanky characters here, as Ezreal will also find himself on that ban list.
Where we go in the draft. Again, we saw 4 games yesterday, but Ornn and Zoe were left up at the same time to be picked for a single team on the blue side, so there's a lot of disagreements. I think the agreements will start to continue with this particular champion. The Rise, which you see, has been the final blue side ban for Afreeca. It feels like that is the most blind pickable champion for every scenario. And playing side lanes is something that the Korean players are really focused on now. So that means the Rise is taken away, and Camille, another one like Shen, who is newly a flex pick. Jungle Camille, a very big pick. Blank has been spamming it in solo queue, and Spirit was the first to play it. That is Spirit's Camille largely being bad, but Keen also most played as a player in competitive play was the Camille. I mentioned the hyper carry meta. Welcome Kog'Maw back to the meta. Right square bang in the middle. Doesn't really matter who it is. MVP and Kog'Maw Monster both first picking it. There's a third first pick in a row we have for the Kog'Maw.
Yep, just going to get snatched up there. Not much thought going into it. They just say, okay, we'll go for that one with the Ezreal and the Kalista off the board. GP also going to be available, and we see that one locked in. More than likely going to be from the top lane, but we have seen Pawn play this in the past if they want to flex it.
Yeah, highly expected. We only saw it played in the mid lane as a specific counterpick to Galio, so unlikely that it's going to be in the mid, but like you say, outside chance of it. Top lane Gangplank is seen as the strongest top laner, even above someone like Ornn. Ornn, you notice, is available and can be laned into the Gangplank, but it is a free lane for Gangplank. A lot of farm coming through. This duo wasn't actually put together in recent history. This feels like one of the strongest duo lanes of Kog'Maw and the Tahm Kench, which was first picked in LPL very consistently. So a lot of power for the Afreeca Freecs. You have a lot of options into Gangplank. Vladimir is seen as the hardest counter, but making a top lane Vladimir comp work is actually not a trivial thing. We saw Kingzone, admittedly with Rascal on the Vladimir, struggle to do so. The Nara is more of the conventional good laning matchup into the Gangplank, and that's the preferred one for Afreeca.
So we'll just see that one taken away. First piece of the bot lane puzzle here for KT Rolster is that Braum comes through from Mata.
Braum is really rising in terms of the tank supports as well. No tank supports were banned. Notice that Alistair, which in a lot of other regions I think will be first pick status, has been left out, and Braum and Tahm Kench both preferred to the alley. So Braum saw Core JJ have an excellent performance on it. Very good against Ornn, but unlikely to see Ornn in this game, given the Gnar and Tahm Kench already selected on the blue side. So we'll keep following the bans. When we saw Kha'Zix picked, and Kha'Zix I think is in fact the tier 1 jungler. The S tier jungler I would say is Kha'Zix. Rengar is one of the best skill matchups into it. Both Spirit and Score have played Rengar in the past. I'd say Spirit more prominently. Spirit will have that Rengar band.
There we go.
Zoe is not seen as a first round champion. I'll try and explore and unpack that a little bit more as the game goes on. I've had a couple of kind of conversations. I don't fully agree with some of the pro player logics here, but it feels like Zoe is not first pick, first ban status in Korea. Still going to be heavily respected though, and that's why we see the ban come through.
Yeah, we'll be taken off the board here. So I'm not going to be seeing her at least for game number 1. And the Nidalee, despite not having the most success yesterday, will still be taken off the board. Just trying to get rid of those really aggressive junglers here. Take those away from Spirit. So the Camille, Rengar, and Nidalee now all off the table.
A lot of high damage top lane and jungle combinations in the current meta because initiation tank support is what happens there. So Alistair largely going to have to shoulder that. So given that initiation's going to be moved away from top side, you see a lot more carries. And Varispan, cool new icon comes through. It's another deft favorite. Still going to be the Tristana left open. That's kind of the remaining hyper carry there, but Vayne.
I asked you about this at the beginning of the broadcast. I said, do you think we're going to see the Vayne coming through? But looks like it might have been just a bit of a tease there by Deft. Now the long hover over the Caitlyn, but actually is going to flip over to the Tristana instead in the end.
Yeah, Tristana is kind of the hyper carry that makes the most sense here. Has more of the late game scaling than the Caitlyn. Vayne in Korea, speaking to Korean AD carries, they don't think it's viable. We saw one game in the LPL from Abel, previously Zanki Susu, the player that Faker accused of scripting on Twitch way back when. It didn't work out there. Very weak laning phase, and laning phase strength is so important in this meta because of how fast turrets are pushed down. They're just going to go with the Tristana, waiting for Afreeca to round out their composition. When it comes to power picks, they have plenty on the side of Afreeca. We're seeing one of the strongest Hogmore focus draws so far, but Keen usually isn't the sort of player to play a secondary tank. So the top lane pick is going to be the Gnar, kind of a pseudo tank in that way, and we're just waiting for the jungle pick left to last here by Afreeca.
All right, there we go. So Zach and Azir are going to round out that Afreeca roster. Kuro going to be trying his hand there in the mid lane with the Sand Soldiers, but you were talking about it. The Veigar back in the meta. You're talking about how powerful it is at the moment, and we will see it locked in for Pawn.
If we know one thing about the new runes, the spellbook cannot stay sealed. It has to stay open at all times, because unsealed spellbook is by far the most common rune choice we've had so far in the LCK. Will be taken by Pawn. The big advantage here, you can start with the heal, you can change over situationally all the time. Insurance for the laning phase, but Afreeca Freecs have an insanely strong 5v5 team comp. 3 tanks, very long-range engage. We saw yesterday MVP had no idea how to face a composition very similar to this from the side of Kongnu Monster. Need to get those wards onto the camps of Zach. Zach, if you don't know how to play against him, just like Evelyn way back when, impossible to deal with. I expect more from KT Rolster, but it's the first day of the season. There's a lot of things changing. Carry matchup in the top side. A lot to be hyped about here, Achilleos.
All right, well, interesting champion selections here across the board, but the Veigar really kind of seals the deal for me here. I want to see how Pawn is going to excel with that one. Up against Kuro, a player who has always kind of been like an afterthought because he was always defeated by Faker, but in the 2017 season, rather, he really started showing up, being aggressive and commanding his own lane.
You could tell he was a bit shook by all the comments that, oh, worst play on the Rocks Tigers, got carried by his team. Afreeca Freecs Kuro did a lot of great play, was joint MVP of summer season.
Yeah. Well, let's see if he can start that off again here. Day 1 at OGN of the LCK. Afreeca versus KT Rolster finally ready to get into game 1. So let's go ahead and do just that. I've missed it all. Papa Smithy, I've missed the cheers. The sounds of Summoner's Rift. Korean casters to our right. It's good to be back. And it's good to be in the game finally.
And the game is much changed from the last time you were casting Achilleos with the introduction of runes reforged and a lot of new options and choices left open to the players. Right now on screen we don't have full rune information, but I will imagine that we will get that as the game goes on. A lot to discuss. You can see a lot of stopwatches Achilleos. We got 4 on the side of KT, and then multiple here also on the side of Afreeca Freecs. Stopwatch, definitely League of Stopwatch is one of the subtitles of the season as so far it has developed. Team comp-wise, I really like what Afreeca have done. Might have noticed by my glee at there being a Cogmore and Tahm Kench, a pairing that will be separated a lot for the majority of the season, but also, if you think about in terms of lanes, while Veigar can lane against Azir, he certainly won't have lane presence. That's going to be Azir pushing in aplenty. Gnar against Gangplank is a winning pushing lane for Gnar. And then you have a jungler that needs coverage, a jungler that needs help in the Zac, who's going to get a free laning, or free jungling phase, I should say, and not have to gank for lane. So they push well. They're 5v5 team fight. Both of them are strong. I have the slight advantage to Afreeca, but if they fall behind, then of course it goes away. There's a lot to like about Afreeca, but KT, they've got some good options for themselves as the game goes on, and yep, there's some runes. Got them on our screen here.
Got them popped in.
5 inspiration tree choices by KT. Inspiration has been so far dominant in terms of rune choice. Back at All-Star, it was sorcery back in the everyone's poking days, but now it is all about the inspiration. As I'm looking on the side of Afreeca Freecs, and we have 4 out of 5. So we have 9 out of 10 players are actually in the inspiration tree as a primary or secondary.
Seems pretty good, you'd have to say. So definitely going to be the big one to look for here. So go ahead and take a look at the match history.
Not great reading
definitely
for the side of Afreeca. They win one game, as they often do, but from there they were taken down by KT. That was some of them that was Afreeca win the first game. Sometimes it was Afreeca win the second game, but never actually to win a set.
Always the game 3, though. That was the big thing for Afreeca.
Their
2-0 almost never came through.
And their game 1s also were the fearsome thing, where they had 3 perfect games in game 1s of a series. They were certainly our best game 1 team in all of the LCK. One
and
small
then
thing,
kind of fall apart from there.
Small thing we should mention was the fake leash at level 1 by Kramer and Tucson. They were spotted auto-attacking onto the red buff, but we knew that Zach was on a blue side start. Not common because Zach doesn't need the blue buff for clear, but he's trying to shield the Zach. If you can get Zach through the early levels, previous to level 4, he has to use his gap closer to clear, so he's very easy to invade because his E is almost always on cooldown if you catch him clearing a camp. Any sort of safety you can provide for your Zach is a very incentivized thing for the side of Afreeca Freecs.
Well, doing their best at the moment. Haven't really seen any invasions come in through from that side. Score just working his way through the jungle.
Guess we can
talk. Gets his first items to get picked up here, but Spirit now roaming over will get a ward into the brush.
So let's talk about runes and the effect that the game has had. I mentioned already hyper carry tank support. Bot lane meta. Well, guess what? Everyone's got a relic shield. Before it was the 80 carries and sometimes supports. Now everyone's got one, and everyone is sharing gold. Big incentivizer is the overshield that you get for the 80 carry, but also because overheal has become a core rune, and actually it's between Deft and Kramer looking through pro builds and some of the other solo queue trackers for who the first person was. When it was the relic shield start, that was Kramer last year, but bringing it back into the Runes Reforged meta was one of Kramer or Deft going for the overheal plus the shield that comes through from the quest on the Targon's Brace. That means that you just have so much overhealing, and you think, okay, where did the Jhin meta go? Where did the poke meta go? The Misfortune support? Well, guess what? When people have 2 maximum HP shields, and they have so much sustain through runes, they get through the laning phase with fleet footwork as well, and they don't get poked down Achilles. So that's why tank supports and hyper carries are preferred to what we saw at All-Star.
Speaking of poke down here, you can get a bit of damage there on a Smeb. Score's waiting in the wings, and now Spirit getting ready to leap in. Elastic slingshot drawn back, but he's going to go ahead. Think better of it. Doesn't want to leap in. Hasn't seen any of Score at all on the map. So we go ahead, decide to play that one safe. So it seems like he'll be okay to keep farming there in the top lane with that Nard. Nearly has a level 6. We'll see that first back there for Smeb to come through.
Jump in as the Zac, and the counter gun comes through from the Kha'Zix. Would have been pretty severe penalty, so now it's just going to be more clearing. I see our Gillette sponsorship in the bottom right. That's new also.
The best a man can get. I'm not going to sing the song.
Sell out. Someone had to say it.
I mean, I do happen to own one. One of the one on the right, actually.
There you go. What's your review for it, Achilles?
It shaves my face.
All right. 10 out of 10.
So, as
Would
far
shave
as,
again.
as far as performing its function, it does a pretty good job. So I will say that I'm quite happy with it.
I feel like the reliability to kind of follow that train of thought is on Afreeca's comp. I think in the late game it's very strong. Okay, it's immigration.
They're going to go ahead and push him straight back. Smeb taking quite a bit of damage. Misses the wallop. Nice sidestep from Smeb. Keeps himself safe. Keeps that flash up. Has to start chugging away that potion, however.
I want to mention in this featured matchup that OGN highlighted of these 2 top lane carries, Keen is on the side of the coin that he's most known for. He's known for picking lane dominance. He's known for counter-picking his opponent. He has the counter-pick here in game 1. This matchup will tell us a bit. He has lane supremacy, but this is the way he usually plays, and certainly would play in solo queue. I'm excited when we see the flip side of the coin, if we do see Smeb with the counter-pick, how Keen can do kind of on the more farm side of the coin. Not many players have the mindset of both a top lane carry and a top lane tank. I would say that Smeb straddles the line better than any other player I can remember. So to see him here.
More so than Cuvée.
More so, yes.
Okay. I'd say it's probably really close.
I mean, I'm not saying he's better than Cuvée. I'm saying when it comes to actually being able to play both styles, I'd say Cuvé's kind of 35% carry, 65% tank. Whereas Smeb is more around the 50-50. Can play both just as good.
That's fair. Just getting your insight.
That's sure. I mean, you're also looking for those clickbait titles, like Papa Smithy thinks SKT is garbage, which I did not say.
He said that they're not going to be in the top 4.
I said that they're closer to 3 or 4 than 1 or 2 than they've ever been before.
Turns out when you translate something into a language and then back into the previous language, things get blurred a little bit.
There's going to be an awkward clip of this commentary, isn't there, Achilles?
Probably. They're not going to take the explanation. It's just going to be that initial part.
I mean, if you cast 5 days a week, I'm sure some creative things can be made of your commentary. That's something I'm going to have to embrace this year, is so far the farming phase, what we can embrace. Asked a lot of questions about what people were looking for, because like we've established some of the 2018 meta trends. I feel like there's something that's not talked about is that some runes have made certain champions a lot stronger than they were previously without direct balance changes. Like Veigar, for example, had this struggle where whatever summoner spells he took, there was a way to abuse them. If he took heal, well, you just teleport around and Veigar's kind of slowly waddling bot lane. If he took teleport, very gankable. Unsealed Spellbook makes certain champions, top lane carries that can take Ignite, like Kennen and Vlad, for example, but also Veigar, so much stronger because you can start picking for lane. You start with heal and no gimmick level 2 gank is likely to kill you, and then you can have the appropriate summoner for the situation, teleport a ghost, as the game goes on. And that's so much extra power that balance numbers and damage numbers, and it's going to find
Spirit. Quite a bit of damage coming through. The Let's Bounce will come out, pushes him a bit closer there to Kuro. We're knocked down to half HP, but he's going to be all right. Pawn not able to react in time. So no kills going to come through, not even a pop on that passive. Spirit going to be fine. We'll just go ahead and hand off this blue buff.
Yeah, but just to finish the point, it's the sort of thing that just a rune change changed the balance level of a champion pretty significantly, because now they can straddle the line. They didn't need more damage or any change to abilities. It's purely having options that means that Vlad takes Ignite and suddenly he's turret diving, or he's got the Ignite on someone turret diving him and can turn around again, but also can be a teamfight terror. So the Ignite top lane meta never went away in solo queue, but now it actually comes out in competitive play because you have the flexibility of going for the appropriate summoner for the situation.
This map's still not having the easiest of times here. Counter pick there for Keen doing some wonders as he finds himself 20 CS up at the moment here at the 9.5 minute mark. It's went for the Ninja Tabi to start things off, so not going to be seeing any of the lane domination items yet. The Frozen Mallet, the Black Cleaver. Still plenty of time for that to happen.
Fawn has varied his build further. When he was playing in Kesper Cup, I believe it was the Hextech into the Negatron Cloak, and then eventually got a Proto Belt. He's gone for very fast GP10 here. Frostfang start, another new thing in the meta. Frostfang junglers for the AP junglers, but also Frostfang mid laners if you're going to upgrade early into the full GP10 AP item. Frost Queen's Claim. Then you can go for it. You no longer have the penalty that where killing minions doesn't allow you to pick up the stacks if you finish the full item. So he's going to still pick up the early magic resist, the early Negatron. Going to go for the GP10 just to be cashed up early. Does mean also though, Achilles, if he's going for GP10, he's going for scaling. So it's more and more of an invitation for someone like Kuro to push up. But if you just let the Veigar have a farm phase and don't take turrets, don't make proactive plays around the map, you're giving Veigar a free lane, which 40-minute Veigar is very common to anyone who's played League of Legends, how powerful that can be.
B starts coming through, so still going to be pretty low as far as this game is concerned. No real action coming through outside of score, finding Spirit for that brief moment. Just taking this one nice and slowly, and I'm sure Kuro and Pawn are both relatively happy with that. The scaling on both sides is quite crazy.
But there's one little wrinkle we haven't discussed. Kuro is playing the champion. Hold the point.
Hold that one. Yeah, the elastic slingshot coming through there from Spirit, but it's not going to be able to get the grabs. It seems like Mata and Deft will be able to back off. So go ahead, continue on about your wrinkle.
Kuro is playing Azir, the champion he is most famous on failing on multiple times. Master Yi mid, dunking his Azir, so many different champions.
That's true. That was the Master Yi, wasn't it?
In his 1,000 kills video, they actually, OGN cheekily asked him about the fact that he could never actually master the Azir. So that's kind of a sub-story here, is that, you know, everyone has to play Azir. Azir is right at the top of the mid lane power ranking, but Kuro has had those significant problems in the past on his mastery of this particular champion.
So I guess 2017 was the year of him becoming more aggressive and, you know, self-efficient. This is the year of him expanding his champion pool and mastering those ones that have previously been out of his grasp.
OGN Legion, I'll say this. He did step up in a massive way in 2017, but to me, him solidifying his legacy in 2017 is less of a feat than if he can solidify his command of Azir.
Doesn't matter how good your record is and if you win lane, as long as the Azir is solid, that's all we need.
Kuro mastering Azir will literally be his career magnum opus.
That's so sad. You'd probably be pretty upset if you heard you say that. But who knows? Maybe he can get both. Maybe he can have success with the Azir and success overall and take Afreeca to Worlds.
A possibility, honestly. Could have happened even last year with how good Afreeca's run was towards the end of the year. But it's a different year this year. We're still learning about power levels. Seeing SK Telecom in the next round will be very interesting. To take stock of the inaction so far in the 13 minutes here, given that we said that Afreeca had the big pushing advantage, the fact that KT have lost no structures or been able to farm is advantage KT. I like the late game power of Afreeca in teamfights, but KT are no slouches either.
It's going to be the Event Horizon coming down, Score jumping straight in, stopwatch there for Kuro to try to keep himself alive. He flashes to the side, jumps over, but that is just going to be Pawn scooping up the kill. Primordial Burst to go ahead and take him out. First blood goes over to KT.
And KT taking the first blood against the script's pretty big for them. Achilles is keen to chase into Smeb, not going to find too much love there, but Score is around as well.
Gets the wallop, but that's about it. Smeb's still going to be all right.
Looking at first blood win rates, highest in the league last year was KT Rolster. KT Rolster's early game domination known to everyone in 2017.
See that first blood win rate there. 81.3%, I believe that just said, for KT. Pretty significant. And now Score looking for that second blood to come through as he's waiting around the back. Pops the ultimate, zipping his way forward, but Keen, yep, he's got that ward in the brush, so he knows better. Keeps himself nice and safe.
Now the fun thing to track would be that all Afreeca's pushing lanes won them was uninterrupted jungling for Zac. They will have Zac free farmed is back in the mid lane.
Kuro yet again getting jumped on. He's got the long dash to take himself out to safety this time around. No R available for Pawn, so can't just press that to win. Will it be enough for them to have a powerful front line? Afreeca haven't taken on the early game as expected, much the same way as Vladimir and Kingzone yesterday, as we see more trading bot side. Going aggressive, they'll get the stun there on the Tucson, but still a pretty tanky Tom Kench getting those heals back from the Relic Shield charges, so he is going to be quite all right as things turns out. Didn't really get much damage in onto Kramer either. So just going to be a bit of a struggle here for KT to try to get ahead in this bottom lane, just given how much protection is available innately because of the Tom Kench for that cockball.
Back to farming. On now with enough AP to start actually pushing in the face of Azir is pretty big shift in the way that the bot lane meta works. So the mid lane meta works, I should say. No visits to the first Drake. Going to be a very late first Drake take here as the blue buff gets passed over for the second time this game. Afreeca finally starting to at least cement their defensive vision, but offensive vision for Zac and co has been kind of eluding them so far.
Even with the Mountain Drake, hasn't been alluring enough to draw anyone's attention there. Just going to be waiting on that one for a bit longer until we see it taken and reveal what the second one is going to be.
So much scaling in this game. More scaling goes without being said. Gangplank Vhagar is about the most scaling you can get out of Soul Lanes. He's got GP10 for extra scaling, and this is kind of the part where if you're, say, Spirit, you look at the game clock and you're like, wait, this game is starting to spiral out in terms of scaling as it goes further and further on. Suddenly we see in the top lane, Kayn doesn't have lane control over Gangplank like you would heavily expect in how it is in the early game. The window of the most dominance is gone for Afreeca Freecs. It's starting to equalize, and KT feel pretty happy about that.
Well, jump comes through, but Score's going to hop away. We'll just bring him back in slightly, but not nearly close enough for anyone else to get on top of him. And Kramer not really going to be offering up any CC, so Kha'Zix will just go ahead and be able to walk away for free. Doesn't even have to use the flash.
More inaction means more time for scaling. Afreeca Freecs, they still have great one-item power spikes. Azir has his Nationals too. The Ginsu Rage Blade with no interruptions in the bot side, but if you just keep laning Achilles, early power doesn't matter if the early game is just farming.
And I would actually really like to see the gold figures right now between Smeb and Keen in particular, because he's got the Klepto, he's got the parlay coming through, so there's a lot of secret farming that's going on here for Smeb that's allowed him to get that Trinity Force completed already. So, might actually find himself in an advantage over Keen, who is now getting jumped on. Score coming around the side.
Gets stunned.
The stun, that's going to be the Let's Bounce. Route ready to come through, but no, actually doesn't even need it, just the Elastic Slingshot. He's trying to preempt there for Spirit, but doesn't even need it. They just pop him and Score. Going a bit too aggressive, gets left on him, he goes down.
The timing wasn't great there. The rest of his team was rotating, but Score kind of had a rush of blood to the head, went very early. They may still pick up the first break, the first turret of the game when the next minion wave comes in. But actually Keen back, he might just teleport bot side and try to equalize. The race for the first turret is on right now.
No, he's going to be coming right back up here to the top lane. Seems like he thinks he can defend this. Push coming through for Kramer and Tucson. Wave coming through as well. See that cannonball barrage just get thrown down to the bottom side. Spirit yet again. Gonna be jumping in. Elastic Slingshot comes through, looking for the grab. Gets the pull there on the bottom. Can't quite bring him back in. Let's bounce. Not gonna be catching anything. Alive for the moment with Smeb is on the back side here with Pawn Kuro's coming in. Emperor's Divide comes through, pushes them out, and Smeb gets forced to use the flash, but now he's getting jumped on. The Sand Soldiers just chipping away at him. Has the stopwatch, but nowhere else left to go, and Kuro will find the kill. 2-1 here for Afreeca, and Kramer is just getting a bit of damage down onto that tier 2 turret. The game now suddenly blown wide open for the Afreeca Freecs as they take the lead.
So much greed from KT Rolster. First score going in just before his tank support and his AD carry came in. They could have just got the free turret, but they wanted more. They wanted the Gnar and then the turret. They get neither of those things. Kramer doesn't have to move. He just sits bot lane, stacks up his Ginsu Rageblade, and powers down first brick. And now it's going to take extra minutes for Deft, who will, you imagine, eventually pick up this turret. I do see the Abyssal Voyage being used to gap close Kramer closer. Deft's backing. There's going to be no turret here. And even though KT made the first rotation, we're in position to get a lead. They mismanage it horribly. An advantage of Afreeca Freecs.
Yep. Putting Kuro a bit further ahead here. It's already been doing a decent job keeping his head above the water as far as the CS is concerned, but now has that kill under his belt. Naturous Tooth completed. See where he wants to go from there. Leandri's is something that's been quite big for the Azir as of late. Won't be too shocking to see that one come through, but you see Kramer just firing away, getting a couple hits there on the Deft. Starts chunking him down, and suddenly he's at half HP.
This is what happens when you start getting the second attack speed item, soon to be the Wit's End, onto the Kog'Maw, so that the Kog'Maw laning phase gets crazy. Because Keen used Teleport, Mountain Drake should be a pretty free objective for KT. Not the one they wanted, but one they could look towards. Seems like they're going to pile people into mid lane, get deep vision, and then consider between mid lane turret dive there, and the Mountain Drake. But no priority on Drake so far by KT.
Multiple wards still in that Dragon Pit, though, for Afreeca. So if KT wants to go for it, spot that one out. Siege onto the top. Tier 1 turret getting ready to come through, but the wave clear is still going to be quite strong from the side of KT. So Kramer just has to go ahead, peel back, wait for the next minion wave to come through. But he finds himself at a very nice advantage here, 220 to 192 CS over Deft.
Spent more time in lane. Deft had to walk all the way to top side, and they botched the play, so he was sharing CS while everyone was trying to push.
I said that, but Kramer just missed like 3 CS in a row.
You know, he'll be fine with that if he can just take this turret, which so far so good.
Trying to fire away. There from Mata, not going to connect, and he's getting quite a bit of damage in. Mata does have the Glacial Fissure available by the look of things, but it seems like they're just going to go ahead, peel back, and surrender this. So second turret of the game, yet again going over to the Afreeca Freecs. Keen now getting jumped on. He has this Mega Gnar for a little bit longer. And Ball Barrage going to come down. He's going to get the transformation. Has the red buff to help kite, but he's just stuck in underneath this turret. He's going to get taken down. So KT finally able to put a second kill on the board for themselves as it goes over to Smeb.
A good waiting game for them. You notice they held on to Cannon Barrage, didn't use it for top, waited for the mini Gnar to pop out, and then that's when they chose the dive. No threat of the Gnar into the turret. Getting the objective is the bigger point here, given that Afreeca already took a second turret in the top side. It does feel like the objective trades largely have been going the way of Afreeca, but that was the first feel-good moment after the inactivity that favored KT was kind of completely handed over when they misplayed around top side.
KT's keeping it within 2,000 gold at the moment, so not a terrible spot to be in. Now Drake getting ready to come through, but that's going to be Abyssal Voyage there from Tucson and Kramer. Spirit and Kuro coming in from the top. Score's going to jump away with the flash in, and Spirit's going to find him. He goes down. Now Smeb, nowhere to run, nowhere to go. He's going to get taken out as Kramer finds himself the kill and the red buff on the Kog'Maw. And just like that, Afreeca yet again advancing several steps forward. Deft looks like he will be able to take down that tier 1 turret in the top lane, but that's about it.
Everyone face checks the event horizon there and gets slowed, but that is all a slow.
They're gonna do this. Yes, they are.
Yeah, I mean, the jungler and the top laner are dead. 20 seconds is a long time until the teleport's up. I don't know if Pawn can salvage. It's just difficult for KT.
It's only been up for a couple minutes here, Pawn. Can he get the magic W? Throws it in. Not going to be able to connect, and that's going to be the Baron going over 22 minutes to the Afreeca Freecs, who are now starting to run away with this game. I was just singing KT praises, keeping things close, and just like that, it has all unraveled.
I mean, this early in the season, when it comes to scale, when it comes to team comp, there's so many things to consider. Because the control ward was down, Kramer and Tusa made the educated opinion that it was going to be them on Drake. This was great play by Spirit in particular. Got the first Q and then flashed into the second. Kuro confirming the second kill as well. And we wondered, would it be enough for Afreeca against double scaling solo lanes to just have Zac get his levels for free? Plays like that, the power of Zac, if we don't see deep wards from KT. We saw it yesterday from Raze, we're seeing it today from Spirit, disrespecting the immense initiation of Zac at your own peril.
Well, now, just a shift over here into the mid lane for the Afreeca Freecs spot lane. Kramer and Tucson posturing up, looking to knock down that final tier 1 turret when they can. They have these Baron-empowered minions, and just given the items that Deft has at the moment, it will take him a little bit to try to bust through these Baron-empowered minions. Still, take that much longer. 2 items completed for him with the Infinity Edge and the Static Shiv. Has another Zeal waiting in the inventory, but just doesn't have that hard-hitting power that you want to see from a Tristana at the moment.
Still coming together, like you say, the double seal items completion is when things start to ratchet another level, but enough armor onto Spirit, Keen, and Tucson, there wouldn't be that much to talk about. Even in that regard, till the last Whisper is complete, so a lot of items, expensive build, and look at the gold lead here. It's actually 1,400 gold lead for Kramer, largely through objectives and also some kills. Speaking of objectives, mid lane turret.
Yeah, turret gonna go ahead and get knocked down. Don't even need the room to help them take that one out. Just get chunked out. That's 3 turrets now over to the side of Afreeca, who just continue to press the advantage. They still have Baron buff for a considerable amount of time. It's about halfway expired at the moment. Working their way in towards those tier 2 turrets will be a bit more difficult. They already have the bottom side weakened up, but if they can find themselves into that position, that's going to be a little bit challenging to set up for themselves. So might just have to be happy with breaking all of the outer turrets.
I mean, it's a start, right? They can start cementing their vision. Their defensive vision can now be at the river, and they can start pushing vision further. Anywhere that can have multiple control wards around an objective like Baron, and Zac can load up and go in at the time of his choosing without being seen, things look good this side of Afreeca Freecs. And the crazy thing for KT fans is they were honestly, with their scaling, in a great spot until Score got too excited, want to go for a turret dive before his team was ready. You think about the setup around top lane outer turret, 4 of them show up, they cannon barrage the minion wave down bot, you get the first turret, you get another nice little lead. They got too excited diving in, and then from there, the cascading effect has been the past 6-7 minutes of the game, where Afreeca has had full control.
A little bit left on that Baron here at the moment. Afreeca doesn't seem like they're going to be able to get anything else done, but as I say that, the push is coming through into that mid lane. Kramer just trying to get in range of the turret.
He can always poke a little bit because Tom Kent is chilling next to him. For now, no turret damage done, but Kuro's having a fun time at top side.
Yeah, has another wave coming through.
Baron about 15 seconds left, thanks to that new Observer overlay we have. That's new, 2018
that one
tech.
ready to go. So not too much longer, which means that we'll likely be seeing Kuro backing out of this top lane. As you see the roam there from Mata just hovering in the jungle, seeing if he needs to go forward. Commit to trying to take out Kuro. For now, this gives a slight reprieve to Kramer, who moves forward. Gets a bit of damage down onto the turret, takes it to about 66% HP. Missile Voyage coming through, now looking for Smeb down to the bottom lane. Gonna go ahead, flash forward, Cannonball Barrage comes through. Smeb tries to keep himself alive. Seems like he'll be able to do just that, so. Yomu's Blade Flash, enough to keep him safe.
But I'll credit KT Rolster with this. They do have good defensive vision as much as they can, given they are getting pushed in 3 lanes. For now, it's not easy for Spirit to say, camp the red side jungle and find a big initiation. So even though, like we said in Pick Ban, there is big pushing advantage, pressure advantages if Afreeca can split the map. They can't do so 100% safely because the vision control from KT with Mata on the squad, never something you can undersell, has stopped Afreeca from getting those extra 2 auto attacks in every scenario, which often add up to turrets rolling earlier than expected.
Well, for now, everything's going to slow down for a little bit. The Baron buff's gone. 4-2 at the moment here as Afreeca Freecs maintain their lead. 4.3 thousand gold up with that Mountain Drake as well. An Infernal going to be on the way in the coming minutes. That much more power that they can acquire for themselves unless KT get the vision out in that lower half of the river.
Two
try to prevent them from taking this. And yeah, Kramer just firing away. That Siege Mode Siege mode Cogmaw coming through, making that turret even lower.
Overheal on the Relic Shield means you can take those couple of turret hits. Tom Kench will devour you if necessary, pushing bot side, trying to recreate what they were doing earlier, but their vision has fallen away, so it's harder for Afreeca Freecs to do what they were pulling up very easily 3 minutes ago. It's always a multi-step process to put down those wards, and they time out, and you kind of have to recall and revamp. So KT have been good at defensive vision, not something they really had to do much in 2017, given they were go hard or go home, really, as they approached the game. They were about their own early game strength. Just focusing here, we're kind of waiting for the next breaking point. Infernal Drake could represent that, spawning in a minute 30, Baron around the same time. Even the fact that there's parity on the spawns can mean cross-map hijinks, but we have to wait and see.
Silently just stacking up there is Pawn Forward with 55 AP at the moment, I do believe. And I just saw there is Death. It's threatened very slightly.
About as low AP a build as well. Kilios going for just the Frost Queen's Claim, Void Staff, and Needless Large Rod to represent AP, such as the Native with a passive. They tried this before, Smeb doesn't have Flash this time.
Yeah, take two. Barrage going to come down yet again. Boulder just barely clips him. In the meantime, Spirit taking a little bit of damage. Smeb's just going to try to give them the run around here.
And he's fast, that's for sure.
Way up, yeah.
Doesn't know which way to go.
Through, and seems like he's going to be okay. Has the welcoming arms of Mata there, ready to scoop him up and keep him safe. Pushing forward. Now the elastic slingshot over the wall comes through from Spirit, but he's going to miss the grab. Just a little bit of damage there from the explosive satchel. I'll just go ahead and peel back, and it seems like we're just going to have one big old stalemate in the river.
The stalemate will only be fleeting, Achilles. 35 seconds to Infernal, 10 seconds to Baron. Sometimes the timers are so important because you see the Yakety Sax style escape from Smeb, and you have to go, wait, what does this mean for vision? What does this mean for the two big objectives? And then be focused on is still burst damage, even though it's a 0-2 Kha'Zix. Here's one of those objectives. They're setting up for the Baron here, KT, but seems like it's not going to be too serious.
Now Recall getting ready to come through there from Smeb. So it's going to be going back to base. Does have the teleport available, so it's like they're just trying to throw down some vision. They have the Scuttle Crab for a little bit more of a, that semi-permanent vision. For now, Kramer is just more than happy to keep soaking up these minion waves here in the mid lane. Just trying to get closer and closer towards that tier 2 turret and finally knock it down.
Some of the vision starting to dissipate for KT. Only one ward left in the Evolved Sightstone item for Mata, so he'll want to recall soon. But it doesn't look like anyone's going to be taking advantage of that just yet. We get back to that kind of question of scaling, which is so difficult to understand. I'd say compositioning I like Afreeca, but in terms of individual champions, can't look past Veigar, Gangplank, and to a lesser extent, Tristana. Kind of hard to equate Tristana and Cogmaw. The extra escape maybe giving Tristana the advantage. Spirit's just trying to be there for wave clear and has to flash awkwardly.
Flashes out of that Event Horizon. The Devourer was there from Tucson, but it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction. Throws that one down. Another Event Horizon comes through. Does stun him up. He's going to get popped. Can they finish him out, though? You can see Afreeca pushing forward. Kramer actually going very far forward. Chunking out Smeb. Almost takes him down. Does force back the members of KT and keeps them from taking out the Zac. The turret, however, more than likely still going to fall. As you can see them trying to get in range here. Just a couple shots from Death would finish it off, but actually the wave clear from Afreeca is quite strong. They get rid of those minions. Catch them from the Horizon in onto Kramer. He'll get devoured, takes him out to safety.
Oh, the power of this Event Horizon. Achilles forced to flash, forced to stopwatch, teleport onto the Bloblet just to keep the Zac alive. They're going to lose the turret inevitably as well.
That's what I'm saying. Just let the turret go at this rate. You guys are almost getting popped by this Veigar. So just let that one fall. 3-3 as far as the turrets are concerned. Still a lead for Afreeca. But yeah, defending something with so little HP, not going to be worth the consistent picks that were just about coming through there from Pawn.
Afreeca know there's been at least a recall from Braum. They suspect Veigar as well. They're going for the rush on Baron. Certainly there's not going to be 5 members of KT here.
Smeb and Score at the moment, the ones coming through. Keen nearly has that Megador ready to go. Chunks out Score already, taking him down to half HP. As the transformation come through, but crucially Afreeca are going to be backing off.
Remember, moments like this is when we have to remind you that Marin is not on this team. He was clearly their shot caller back in 2017. They talked about it in interviews a lot. These close calls where you see 2 recalls and you're like, do we have the Baron damage? Should we rush it down? Can we win the game if we don't take Baron at 30 minutes? These are the sort of things where the veteran calls can really be big. So we have to watch with a microscope some of those high-pressure calls because someone new is in the calling booth for the side of Afreeca.
Everyone's just going to go ahead, peel back away from the Baron. This cheeky little play that Afreeca wanted to attempt, but for now will abandon that. Infernal Drake has been sitting on the Rift for a long time as well, and we haven't really seen anyone take 2 glances at it. A little bit of vision down on that side of the river there for KT. But
we're going full Kramer over here, Achilles.
Oh boy, Righteous Glory on the Kog'Maw. What will he think of next?
I mean, the only use here, remember, you can only get the movement speed going forward. So this is for getting more W hits.
I mean, we saw him front-lining to defend the mid-turret, so it seems like he is perfectly happy with just charging down anybody on the side.
Worth noting that it's one of those situations where you have to sit back and think, what else does it give you, which is health, mana, and armor, which are all relevant stats. But it is the active, I think, may be deprioritized here, but I guess if you see the event horizon down from Veigar, you can start popping the damage, that's for sure.
I'm going in! But, yeah, I don't know about this one. We'll see how it's going to play out. Kramer has always been somebody who goes for very bizarre builds.
Yes.
You know, even
you told me stories of your LMS casting with his Wits End Lucian.
Yes. Wits End Lucian,
that
Black
one,
Cleaver Ezreal.
And, you know, some of them get thrown out. Others, like the Relic Shield, you know, shape a meta. So you have to say that he has a decent hit record on some of them. I'm going to have to wait for some unpacking on the Righteous Glory. I'm going to wait to see the first use of it.
Yeah, I need to be made a believer of this one. For now, it's just bizarre. I won't call it bad or stupid. I'll just say it's bizarre.
Spirit hit with Event Horizon, one rotation of spells.
Now the stun coming through from the Braum. He gets chunked out. Another Devour there for Tucson, having to take him out to safety. See Kramer starting to push forward. He's looking for that damage, but doesn't really find much of it.
Tucson has to take Cleanse with his Unsealed Spellbook just to get out of Event Horizon. It's kind of a sub for the QSS that was pretty common. See, Infernal down to around 2,000, releases for second.
Spirit ready to leap in. Can he get this one? No, it's not going to happen. Score does get the takeaway. Infernal Drake over to KT, finally able to find a dragon for themselves here at the 34-minute mark. And that's going to be it. That's going to be 2 dragons and then Elder. So not many stacks to benefit either side.
KT Snow a Cleanse is down from Tucson. They know they can fish with the Event Horizon. Spirit can be one-shot here.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and stun up. He's coming through, and he is just going to vanish Pawn yet again. Hits are fine success.
And that's why I had to say it. Even as full tank, full HP Zac, you can be one-shot 35 minutes into the game with this Veigar build. So cleanly taken out as Bloblets were popped earlier. KT going to start looking at the Baron. There is a ward there, importantly, for Afreeca, so they will not fully fall for this. They are able to be more defensive than if that vision was not present.
So coming through there on Akeen. Depth, he is getting obliterated. Kuro looking for the finish. Can't quite find it, and Akeen's blocked off by that Event Horizon. So seems like the Tristana will be safe for now, but with him being taken so low, KT can't even try to make the play for this Baron anymore, even with Spirit dead. Everybody going to have to go their separate ways yet again, just continuing this dance back and forth up and down the river.
And I'm sure some people are thinking back to expectations when I was talking about how I loved Afreeca's 5v5 comps. Notice that when we're seeing KT get these leads, it's not 5v5 it kills, it's getting vision control, the Martyr special, and then killing one person instantly. That is something that undeniably a late game Veigar comp can do. They are not interested in fighting in areas like you see the ARAM style in the middle of mid lane. They are playing around vision because they know that is their way to actually get single picks, and if you can kill anyone guaranteed 5v4, then those objectives can come through.
Yeah. The one that they want, the one that they would love to pop would be Kramer.
I mean, even Spirit, right? No Smite is still going to be relevant.
Oh, sure.
Because it's such a high damage mid and AD carry, you can't 5v4 against the Baron damage and Azir and Kog'Maw, so I mean, 2 would be lovely, but that's not as much what Veigar trades in. He's more about singles.
Wanting, yeah. So just go for one.
This game has been, you know, super delayed. We're about 1 hour delayed to get it started. It's been a very interesting one, very slow start, but now there's so much talk about new runes, new styles, new team comps that on the surface have scaling advantages, but then you start to unpack, and there are ways they can be played. KT from behind, I guess that's a small thing that should be mentioned. KT from behind, looking impressive. KT from behind in 2017, apart from Kesper Cup, in the regular seasons, were kind of woeful from behind. So this is a new dimension to them. They know they're in vision, but they do some damn Baron damage.
That they do. Strangler going to come down. In over onto the back of the pit. Baron going low. Seems like KT might be the vision up, but oh no! Spirit jumps in and he takes it out. The steal away coming through for Afreeca Freecs as they get their second Baron of the game score. Trying to eject himself from the fight, jumps over the backside of the pit. He will stay alive. Nobody dies on either team, but Spirit from downtown goes straight in and takes it all away.
To call it a drive-by would undersell. A flyby from the Zac steals away the Baron. All of KT's good work looking for picks. They thought they had the time for the Baron. That's what Zac can do. We saw it yesterday by Kongdu Monster, and today, just the ability to get into the pit over and above, gets them the Baron, and resets the game. We're going to see the replay right here. They think, okay, we're fine. Hello, says Spirit, smites away. Unfortunately, score smite mechanics have never been his strong point. 1 HP, never forget. And all of a sudden, Afreeca Freecs just as strong in the game.
2H, but yes. And that was with Smeb playing Gangplank. So seems like Smeb playing Gangplank and Score securing Barons just don't go well together, even if they're on the same squad. But what a sigh of relief for the Afreeca Freecs fans here in the audience and watching at home as they net themselves that second Baron. Now can look to go ahead and start pushing in towards these tier 2 turrets and maybe even into the base of KT Rolster as we're nearing on that 40-minute mark. Barrage coming down, Spirit waiting in the wings, keeping Kuro safe. That'll be one turret going down. Second one looking like it's going to follow here as Keen is just all alone on that bottom side of the map, and he's already done so much work onto this turret.
Worth noting, no QSSs on the side of Afreeca. All they have is Cleanse from Tucson and Cleanse from Kuro. It is still a situation where because Tucson has Cleanse, you can kind of walk up and not die instantly to the Veigar. You do have one person who guaranteed will be able to get you out, but there's certainly burst damage from other members as well. As I saw a Righteous Glory, it wasn't that big.
Damage just going through there on the depth, trying to keep himself alive, is dancing around. Goes back up to a little over half HP. Another catch coming through onto Spirit, but the follow-up from the rest of the squad isn't there, so they can't isolate that Zac, and even so, I do believe he has the passive up yet again.
Kuro in the top side, so much turret damage to the Azir even after W drop damage was deleted, and
playing with fire there. Almost got caught by that Event Horizon, and he would have gotten popped if it happened, but manages to get himself out just in time.
Cleanses being up here is so important for Afreeca to get those extra turret shots and not have to risk dying. They need Veigar and Vision at all moments. The defensive vision that allowed KT to stay in the game last time we were in a similar scenario. Not as relevant here because it is in the base. Keen starts to push up. Azir pushing up the top side. One auto.
It's just a full court press coming through from Afreeca Freecs, and there's not much that KT can do. Even the pick there coming through on the Spirit. You'll see the Primordial Burst thrown out, but it's not going to be enough to take him down. On needs the backup from the rest of his team, but no one can push forward. No one can go onto Spirit because Kuro will just rip them apart.
And the fact that the only target he could acquire was the Zac, who's going to be itemizing heavily into Magic Resist.
Feels bad, man.
Exactly. Earlier in the game, when you're offensively around the midpoint of the map, yeah, absolutely kill the Zac. In this scenario, he's just a distraction for the people doing the actual structure damage. Afreeca will take a deep breath. They'll back away. They'll try to load up again, and it may only be 7 kills, but the seesaw of this game has been cool to track.
It really is. I mean, this has just been so tight-knit. That last Baron really, the big divider here that has kind of really set Afreeca up to look like they are going to be the squad finishing out this first game. But I'm still not going to put any money on either side because this has been teetering back and forth so much.
I want to talk about Kramer for a moment. Sold the Righteous Glory. A lot of people are going to be happy. Won't be in the end game build. People are going to be like, wait, Righteous Glory? Sure, was that an item bug? He's gone for Bloodthirst, a lot more conventional. To me, Righteous Glory was kind of, he was thinking of Righteous Glory or Frozen Mallet for health, just to deal with some of the Veigar damage. I think Frozen Mallet made a lot more sense, but
it's a classic double lift build.
Kramer does it a bit differently, as we've learned. Now seeing a tete-a-tete as the Elder Dragon has spawned. No one really has control around the area. A couple of stray wards, but no more. 7 kills in the entire game, but 5 will decide the match.
Is that going to be something really worth the risk going for, since they only have 1 buff each?
The problem is that splitting the map, even though Afreeca were doing it really well, if Summoner comes down and you can't make the sort of plays they were playing around trying to play 3 maps, and full court press can be very quickly taken apart because if 2 people die, they got massive death time as you steamroll down lane and you get at least an inhibitor. So they're trying to fight around objectives, but this is going to be a team fight.
Let's bounce thrown down there by Spirit, but he's not going to find anything. Instead, just jumps to the side. In the meantime, Smeb getting chunked out by Kuro. He's just firing away with the Sand Soldiers. He's going to go for it. Massive Emperor's Divide knocks him back. Mata goes down. Pawn caught. Has the Sonya's up, but he's going to get taken out. A double kill going over to Kramer to start off the fight. 3 members dead on the side of KT. Just scored. Smeb left alive. For how long they'll be able to keep saying that, I do not know. Keen trying to deal with the GP. Goes low, but the Devourer is there. Spirit leaping in from the sidelines. Tries to take him out, but Smeb does manage to get rid of the Gnar here at the end. But with Kramer showing up, it's just a matter of time. He'll get popped. Score trying to delay the wave. Does manage to clear it out. Afreeca seems like they won't be going for an inhibitor at the moment, but that Elder Dragon is there.
Interesting, because after that massive initiation from Kuro trying to make me eat my words about his Azir, Score can hold the minion wave. They kind of meander, killing one other member. And Elder Dragon with just a single stack is not really a big prize. Not the sort of thing you covet for a team fight victory at 42 minutes into the game. So they get a single buff. They get a bit of map control. But this is not the game-ending fight it looked like when we saw that Emperor's Divide.
Really weak consolation prize after nearly acing the enemy team. But yeah, beautiful engage coming from Kuro.
I mean, 3 people died.
2 right off the bat from the Kog'Maw, and then Kuro able to get Pawn right at the end.
3 people died in an instant, and then they didn't even get an inhibitor turret, let alone an inhibitor. There was an exposed one in top with a 50-second death timer. I know some people will sit back and wonder if I keep talking about shot calling, but from what I understand, was told that the shot caller here is supposed to be Spirit, new to the role, as the primary shot caller on the team, did help out with shot calling on Samsung Blue.
It wasn't even somebody that we saw on this roster 100% of the time.
Exactly. Mowgli was playing some games, not as much in summer, but certainly in spring season.
But still, you know, that
shot
is
calling
going to be a very new thing.
Shot calling is always this weird thing where, you know, people say, oh, like, what does it really mean? Like, some people say, this is the shot caller, then a month later they said, actually, it was me. Like, shot calling is an intangible, but the players have gone on record saying Marin made all the late game calls. So this is a different scenario for Afreeca. The team fight execution, beautiful. One of the best. We'll see a highlight reel clip for sure. But because they get nothing out of it, with 50-second death timers at 41 minutes, you do start to put the thinking emoji hat on and wonder.
Well, KT straight back into this mid lane. Now find themselves down 10,000 gold at the 44-minute mark. Baron, yet again, is back up. If left alone for even a few seconds, Afreeca will absolutely destroy that objective. Have to be incredibly careful, does KT. Make sure that they have vision. Make sure that that is not getting snuck away by, you know, an abyssal voyage from the Tahm Kench and the Kog'Maw, because they could duo it at this point.
I mean, at this point, you got to say, KT got wiped, and then they actually have ward supremacy on the map, so that doesn't usually happen. Afreeca running onto it. They have a pretty damn good idea of what's going on. They saw Spirit jump into the
There's
tail.
nothing they can do. Pawn's going to try for it, but actually, it was decently close considering that it was Kuro who was able to take it away.
But that's also, take into account, it would have been suicide to jump in there against this team and try to steal a Baron. Multiple people would have died. They could not win a team fight in that area. As KT, we mentioned, they don't want to take 5v5, let's run at each other and see what happens fights. So at 45 minutes with unlimited scaling on Veigar and Gangplank, losing members there might lose you the game just because you can't defend 5v4. So while some people will say, why weren't they there? Fully committing to trying to stop that Baron would have been the death of KT.
Yeah.
And yet, we sit back, take another deep breath, still only 12 kills in 45 minutes. The Elder Dragon really not leading to too much. KT getting wards down the map. Will we see the fight that we've been assigned? Kuro will wonder how his miraculous engage hasn't won the game. For the side of Afreeca is
Spirit, tries to leap out of there, but he is just going to get popped.
He done.
There's nothing that Afreeca can do to try to keep him alive. Actually, no.
Is this the right move?
The TP is there. So he'll be fine for the moment. Keep coming through. Kramer flashes forward, just looking to melt down Pawn. Cannonball Barrage coming
Spirit's
through,
back
but
in.
it's not going to deter them at all. That is going to be Pawn going down. Smeb taken down on the sidelines, and Kuro finishing off Score. 3 members dead on the side of KT and Afreeca. They might just look for the victory right here.
They can go through the top. Azir is already there. They want to finish the game. Only wave clears of Tristana. Not going to be enough, you'd have to imagine.
Going low, but he is still going to be okay. Sitting in that Meganar form, and you can see even with the Unbreakable there, Mata taking so much damage from Kramer, has to show so much respect, and there's just nothing really that they can do. If he turns his attention onto them, they are gone in a matter of seconds, much like the base is right here. It took a while, Papa Smithy, 46.5 minutes in the game. We've been live for over 2 hours, but that is game one going to the Afreeca Freecs. Can they beat KT finally? 0% win rate in 2017, always goes to 3 games. Could this be the time to turn it around?
A fascinating game one, despite the low kill score, because of the different scalings. We thought maybe the game was decided by score early in the game, not being able to pull off the turret dive on Gnar and losing objectives, and then by score again, of course, in the Smite War. When it came through, Spirit was able to steal it away. But the game reached parity in situations where it seemed like Afreeca would run over the side after Kuro, rewriting his previous 17-game 30% win rate on Azir. His Azir play was probably the highlight of the game, but the highlight for the Afreeca fans is, once again, they win a game one, and against KT Rolster, one of the favorites for the entire season.
And they closed it out. So question that I have for you here, Papa Smithy, because I know that the people are probably losing their minds over this in the chat right now. Do we expect to see any swaps at all from the side of KT?
So hard to say, Achilles. Yukal is too young to play. Obviously, you're giving him that look and wondering about Rush. There were some mistakes from Spirit here. Is Rush just a nominal member of the team, or is he a serious member who will actually be playing, getting a lot of game time? We'll find out soon.
All right, well, one hell of a way to kick off this season here at OGN. You guys are sticking through with us as finally, we're able to finish off that game number one, but that is just the beginning of the day. And potentially 2 more games coming up here if KT can win game 2, and then that whole other series where we get to take a look at SK Telecom as well. So stick with us, guys. I know it's late, maybe early, depending on how your definition goes, but it's going to be one hell of a day for League of Legends here in Korea, and we want you to stick through and with us. Maybe we'll get to see Rush. I can't promise you that,